are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Court. And we are back. We got the full crew in the house. That is what it's all about. The Yankees, out of any team in the league, are the best equipped to handle a blow like this.
I think there is a higher power at play here. He's due law of averages. That dude is the ultimate scrub. It's trash. Yeah. Every person you have in there is fucking trash.
Next game, you're going to see a big performance. You can see it in the end of the game, and I'm just totally stoked and excited for this.
And we are back. Welcome to another edition of the Sports Port. And once again, it is the Barnes and Tony Show. Anthony, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing very well today. How are you, Brian?
I am doing outstanding. What a start to the day. In no place I'd rather be than right here.
Oh, yeah.
Chopping it up with you, Tony. And there's so much to talk about. As Matthew says, yes, love it. Just loves everything, I guess.
Double love it. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
He's as happy as you are.
Yeah, exactly. So we've been really going switch ups to start. Let's go to the world of the National Basketball Association.
LeBron James at the buzzer. He banks in the three, and the Lakers win the game.
In response to Matthew, as we would say, we'll talk outside, bud. But obviously, we all know the reason we're talking NBA right now is because last night, LeBron James becomes the all-time leading scorer in NBA history, passing Kareem with a jumper late in the third quarter to reign as the top leading scorer of all time. Unfortunately, it came in losing fashion as they fall to OKC 133-130. But we've talked about this before on the show, but just the longevity, the greatness of LeBron, and just the fact too that he's not a primary scorer. He does so many other things, and the fact that he scored more buckets than anybody in the history of the NBA. And you think about how long the league's been around. Pretty impressive stuff, even for somebody like Tony, who doesn't probably like to give LeBron too much credit. But I mean, hey, more than anybody, I mean, there's a reason he's number one, no?
Yeah. I mean, you really can argue. You got to kind of tip your hat to him. I mean, like you said, he's kind of, came into this league, obviously, on a high note, highly touted, and certainly adapted to different type of playing styles. I mean, he can basically play anywhere on the court. He's refined his shot. He wasn't the greatest shooter coming in to the league, and he certainly improved that. I mean, you really can't say much bad about him in terms of his production on the court, his stats, his scoring, what he does for the teams that he goes to. His ability to kind of, also, I guess, control his career. He always kind of went to teams that he wanted to. The contracts he got were always, favorable for him. And like I said, he took advantage of kind of having that talent, and then, mixing up that talent that I guess you could say, I guess just because of his body type, the natural gifts he was given, obviously then applying his work ethic to be that type of champion and obviously to hold records within the NBA.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure Michael is listening somewhere. I'm just curious what he's going to say. I'm sure it's a downplay, not even to call out Michael, but I just know him with LeBron and all of that. But I think, I was thinking about this on my way in this morning. And it's just like, anybody could say whatever they want, the this, the that, longer career coming out of high school, all that. But it's like the way I look at it, for anybody who's trying to kind of make this less significant, is the fact that if it was that easy, somebody else would have done it the last 40 years. But nobody had been able to pass Kareem. So I think, the magnitude of this speaks for itself.
You think Kareem's a little tight?
It's funny. Yeah. I'm sure you saw my Twitter poll question there. I mean, he looked like dead serious. I guess
he did.
Maybe that's just his demeanor, but everybody was saying at the end of the day, these greats, they don't like, anybody breaking the records. But it was the most serious interaction I feel like I've seen in any sport with someone breaking someone else's record. I mean, he I don't even think he cracked a smile.
No.
Very quick handshake, not a full embrace. And then people were saying that they like that, which I kind of could agree with, because they think sometimes, people get too, for lack of a better term, like lovey-dovey about these type of things. And, it's like a 10-minute hug and all of this stuff. So I think that shows the reality, of the situation. But at the end of the day, there's always going to be debate, about, who's the number one player of all time. And it's just one of those things, there is no answer. You know what I mean? Everybody can offer their opinion, but at the end of the day, that's all it is an opinionated, type of thing here. I mean, we could talk about it for hours on hours, but there's no way to really measure that. It's all in the eye of the beholder. But nevertheless, we know that, he stands up there on the Mount Rushmore of greatest players of all times. And that's, I don't know how else to say it, Tony, right? I think Matthew agrees.
Yeah, no, I think so too.
5 less years than him. Yeah, because he had to gamble and didn't have the heart of a champion.
Oh, wow, dude.
That's something he does. Oh, man. What's going on, brother? Brian,
Yes,
see you, man.
the embrace.
Yeah. So, it's just like I said.
What's up, brother?
I saw Tony sleeping over here. I had to wake him up real quick.
No. All I want, and really expect out of people that I talk to about this is just the fact that it is a great achievement, and that's it. There's no this, there's no that, there's no but this, there's no but that. It is what it is.
Well, if it comes out that LeBron's on steroids, do you think it would?
That's not.
That's a butt. Is that a butt though? Is it?
We
though?
just had this conversation about Brady, Tony, and you told me
Brady.
Yes. Yeah.
Who?
When he retired, the longevity of Brady. There's the bite about it, Tony.
No, but he's saying it comes out of steroids.
Yeah, LeBron steroids.
Okay, sure, but I think we would say that about any athlete if it came out that they did.
Well, that's what I'm
steroids.
saying. Yeah, but so yes.
But it's not steroids, dude. It's not.
You never know, dude.
Okay.
Do you think? Do you think Brady's on steroids?
You don't.
Do you?
Miami, when he went to Miami,
You don't.
Yeah, and he was bulked up, dude. Look how tiny he looked. Dude, yeah, dude. Come on, man.
Jesus.
Yeah, tacos. Someone else knows tacos, dude. Yeah.
The relentless attack will just never end.
This is a question, dude. This is a question.
Yeah. Like I was saying this earlier, Michael. It's like, if it was that easy, somebody else would have broke it the last 40 years.
Why hasn't Kevin Durant?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, wait, he can't stay healthy.
Score, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's more of a pure scorer. Exactly. Yeah. So that's really that, Tony. And it's a shame too, because it was nice watching the game and stuff, but it's just like you can't beat the Thunder. You're 5 games under 500.
Yeah, Matthew, Brady PEDs for sure. Yes. That's ridiculous.
You didn't get Kyrie.
He's got no muscle on him.
And I just don't. I don't know what the path forward is here. I guess. Do we want to blame the last couple years on Russell Westbrook? Is that the reason for the failures? And I think the game before this he was 2 of 16 or a couple games ago. This game 10 of 19, 27 points, 8 assists, and actually was 4 of 7 from 3-point range. But I don't know. It's a shame that a few years removed from a championship, the Lakers really find themselves, other than, AD and LeBron, just in shambles, a roster with no talent on it. And it's like, in my eyes, how does Rob Pelinka still have a job? You have AD, LeBron, and you can't build a cast around them, and you fail to, it's just like this offseason, you knew it. You saw what happened last year. And I know, AD and LeBron, missed some time, but it's like, you knew you had to change something up, and a mid-season trade for Rui Hachimura, which I like, and bringing back Dennis Schroeder. That's just not enough. And I know Thomas Bryant has played a role in this team, but you just needed more. And you just don't have that. And the state of the roster is so bad that I don't know what you could really trade other than, you're not going to trade AD. Obviously, you're not going to trade LeBron. So it's like, I mean, nobody wants Westbrook. I mean, unless you trade for a bad contract, which is why you doing that in the first place. So it just seems like an unfixable situation. But and also too, I just feel like though they still should be able to do a little bit better. But I don't know if that is that all on Russ. I mean, I know this game wasn't good, but I mean, is it all on him? I mean, he's very aggressive. Has to consistently take jumpers. I mean, is that I know you're not closely following the situation, Tony, but I mean, you've seen the wins and losses over the last couple of years. It's not good.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that's
like
the biggest reason?
I don't know. I mean, it's tough to say what the biggest reason is per se. I mean, if I were the Lakers, I mean, if LeBron wants to stay, that's great, but then get rid of everyone else. I mean, AD can't stay healthy for you. Like, what good is he if he's not staying healthy? And yeah, I mean, he plays well-ish, I guess, when he's on the court. But he's not reliable. And then like Russ kind of sucks. So it's like, who do you really have to build a team upon other than LeBron? Really nobody. I think you should really just clean house. Because obviously, that like big three isn't working. It seems like the chemistry between LeBron and Westbrook also it's not going to be there. I mean, you've been trying for years now. Yeah, you won a championship. But people were like, oh, it was the COVID season, it was shortened, the bubble, whatever. It could have been kind of, I guess, a one and done. I mean, it's very reasonable that's kind of what happened, and you just got to kind of move on. I think they just really have to retool because it seems like everything is wrong with that team.
Yeah, but the shame part about it is, I mean, it seems like, barring anything unexpected, that after this year, you have 2 years of LeBron, because you got next year and then the following year his son will be in the league. And who knows if he wants to push it past that. But I mean, once you're 40 years old, it's tough to think you're going to keep going in the NBA unless you're Udonis Haslem, basically being an assistant coach.
Right.
And I guess people are saying too that Kyrie, might kind of take a hard stance here and, sign in the offseason with the Lakers, and especially if they're going to give him the most money.
You agree with Matt there?
Yes, but I think that, like, they would be, technically speaking, they would be, okay. But the thing is, how can you count on Kyrie? I mean, it's just like, when we had this conversation the other day, but it's more than likely there would be some dramatic scenario which would result in him not playing all the games or causing a rift with the team. But it's just like, I don't know if there's anybody even close to that'll be available this offseason that matches his talent level. So, your hands might be tied unless you can get the rare trade where you could trade AD and have, ready guys, in that deal that'll help you win a championship. But it's like, it's just hard to see. It's hard to see it without it right in front of you. So yeah, it's just a very, very precarious situation.
Precarious.
I guess, you want to see him rally, at least make the play in, and then who knows
think they
what will
will
happen. I think if anything, 10th. The last seed in the play-in, which is, you got to win a couple games, just get the 8th seed, and then who knows what happens after there. So you're beaten down a little bit, but let's just see what happens. That's the only thing we could do at this point. So that's all I really could offer on that end. We'll see what happens the rest of the way. But once again, congratulations to LeBron to becoming the all-time leading scorer in NBA history.
Are you happy for him? You don't sound so happy for him.
It's just, I've seen him, have so much success, especially regular season success. I mean, his teams always, would have a winning record, and then you think about what happened, last year, the disaster that was. So it's kind of tough. It's like, I mean, what we had to endure last year. How it got ugly quick 2 years ago against Phoenix in the playoffs. After winning a championship, I expected so much more. And in any way, I don't think any of this is his fault. It's just a poor roster. So it's tough to see. And I think it's dampened, this achievement is a little dampened by losing this game and being in the situation you are, and just no defense. And to me, defense is is all effort. So clearly the effort isn't there for the team. So I don't know how this plays out. But time will tell. And we just love to just see LeBron at least get one more crack, at a championship run. That's what I'd like to see, because he's been so close so many times, and there's a couple situations where you felt, well, maybe he should have had that one. I mean, really, I guess the one that sticks out is the one against the Dallas Mavericks. All the other ones, I mean, you're going against the Goliath, that is the Golden State Warriors. So that was kind of, understandably so. But you felt like with, AD still seemingly in his prime, that you'd have a chance at multiple championships. And clearly, they've been close after that first one. So,
right.
Like I said, let's see what happens. But like I said, congratulations again to LeBron, and hopefully the Lakers can turn it around. But for now, let's go to the world of the National Hockey League.
Here's Matthews. Scores! Hat-trick goal!
My goodness, this is a great shot.
Big hit on the far side by McCarr. He flattens Jordan's skull. Oh my goodness! That's the top right back. Terrified and robbed by Shesterkin. That's brilliance from Igor Shesterkin. It's a breakaway to win it in overtime. McDavid scores the winner in overtime.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
I knew you were going to say
and
it.
you know where I have to start here. Speaking of overtime, how about the San Jose Sharks?
Yeah.
You called it. How about I said, you want some, put a couple shekels up there. The Erik Karlsson anytime goal scorer, putting his 17th through the net. The resurgent season for Erik Karlsson continues in a big upset win. And I get it, Brian Elliott in net. So the Lightning not at full strength.
But still.
But you expected a better effort. Second night of a back-to-back, getting embarrassed by Florida. And, they just didn't have it. And who else but Timo Meier, with the game winner in overtime, his 30th of the year.
He had two last night, I think.
He did have two. Yeah. So second period, he has 29th. And the tough part about this for Tampa too, after one, you led 3-1. And as Tony would say, the worst lead in hockey, the 2-goal lead. But Meier answered back to make it 3-2 in the second. And then Gadjovic ties it up in the third. And then at that point, Meier, halfway through roughly overtime, the game winner here, Karlsson with 2 assists up to 52. So, I mean, you would think that would help the trade value a little bit. Obviously, the tricky part, the cap, the contract. So
for Timo? Or you're talking about Karlsson's contract? Yeah, $11.5 million a year, dude.
Yeah, I mean, is that more than Connor McDavid?
I think he makes the same.
It's just like, that's why it's just so tough. Even though, for a defenseman,
he makes
5 million more. But for a defenseman, I mean, he's about as sound as you could be offensively. So the value is there. I mean, and I think he would be heavily sought after had he had a different contract. No.
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. If it was like, even if it was like 10 or 9.5.
Yeah. Like 100%.
Yeah.
Now in terms of, the rest of the games here, we saw the Penguins 2-1 in overtime. So another overtime game there. Chris Letang winning it in overtime. So nice to see him, recovering well here. And I think he had a game winner, not a little while ago, but I know multiple goal games. So, cause I know he had missed some time, with the stroke and all of that. So what a tough guy, gutting it out there. And it's a shame for Colorado because, you had your backup Francois in, and he actually gave you a really good performance, 36-38, but just offensively, you don't score in the first. McKinnon has one in the second, and then you shut out the rest of the game. Brian Rust tying it at 1 apiece in the third period for Letang, his 5th goal of the season to win it. So Pittsburgh now 25-16. And it's interesting, they obviously have struggled in the playoffs the past few years and obviously are having a pretty good year this year and dealing with injuries to Jari. And like I mentioned, Letang missed time, but Do you see them, Tony, as a team that might look to add before this trade deadline?
The Penguins?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're one of the teams interested in Timo Meier, which there are plenty of, so I don't know. It would be interesting to see kind of what they can offer for Timo, and then, where they would pivot if they don't get Timo. Because again, the Pittsburgh Penguins are definitely a team who, think of who's above them, are certainly going to need some help if they do kind of want to go deep into the playoffs. So I would be interested to see where they kind of pivot from Timo, because again, the amount of teams interested in him, I mean, it's a big market for him. So, and I mean, the Penguins, you're not going to throw the kitchen sink at Timo Meier. Some other teams may. So I guess we'll kind of see.
Yeah. And you would think, with Horvath off the board, he would be the most sought after goal scorer. And speaking of Bo Horvath, he scores his first goal as a New York Islander last night in a 4-0 victory. And you look at the scoring, obviously all on the side of the Islanders. Bolduc had his first of the season. Holmstrom had his third. So both of those coming in the first period. And then Parisi had his 14th. Bo Horvat, his 32nd. So that's another anytime goal scorer that Tony had predicted. So his 32nd of the year. And I think, like we talked about yesterday, he slots in well with this team. I think we're going to see a marketed improvement here because you have Sorokin, you have some other talented veterans on the team. So, of course, it's a big contract, but I think it was a well-needed shot in the arm for the New York Islanders.
Oh, yeah, dude. I mean, the things they struggled with was, predominantly scoring. We know how good, Sorokin has been in between the pipes there for the Islanders. And, they have solid defense, but they just weren't producing enough offensively. And, with a season where, Brock Nelson's doing so well, which, hey, he's a very consistent player, but this is definitely, one of the better seasons he's having of his career. You don't want to strike while this iron is hot there, and adding Bo here, I mean, it's going to improve many aspects. Just because the attention he draws on the ice is going to be a lot. So great job there, dude.
Yeah. And speaking of great jobs, coming in hot out of the break, the Edmonton Oilers 5-2 over the Detroit Red Wings. So really continuing, their strong play that they had towards the tail end of the first half of the season. And in this one, they did come from behind. Red Wings got on the board early in the first. Tyler Bertuzzi, his second goal of the year. But they come strong in the second period. 3 goals, 1 by Ryan McLeod, 2 by Warren Fogelb or Fogelli.
I think it's just Fogel.
Fogel? Oh, interesting. Fogel spelling. So Fogel with his 6th and his 7th. So that made it 3-1 Edmonton. And then Veleno right before the horn in the second made it 3-2. But the usual suspects, Nugent Hopkins and Evander Kane, add some goals towards the end of the third. And at the end of the day, 5-2 Edmonton. Nice to see Kane, healthy after that scary injury earlier in the year. And I know, obviously, the big conversation with Edmonton is always going to be the defense, the goaltending. Scoring will not be a question. And like I said, especially with Evander Kane fully healthy. But I think they're a team to watch in the second half to continue to rise up the standings. And after a disastrous start, Jack Campbell, he was 30 of 32 in this one. Seems like he's turned it around a little bit.
Yeah, I still got to give him some time. I think his save percentage is still under 900, I think. And, his record, being the goaltender for the Oilers, I mean, it still isn't great either. He hasn't had a shutout all season yet. So I don't know. I still think he has some ways to go, dude. I mean, because Skinner looks pretty solid. So I don't know, dude. But still, I mean, I think the Oilers should definitely pursue a goaltender at the trade deadline here.
Anybody in mind?
I know we mentioned Vejmelka, before. I don't know if Arizona has him really on the block, but I'm sure if with the amount of offensive pieces that the Oilers have, I think they can sacrifice a few forwards to try and make a push for Vejmelka, dude.
And you don't believe in Skinner, even though the numbers are there?
I don't know, dude. I just think come playoff time, he's
deer in the headlights.
Yeah, dude.
It'll be interesting though, because you feel like once again here we are, kind of a similar trajectory to last season. A decent start, terrible middle of the way. Now they're picking it up mid-season. Will they finish strong again and at least make a run to the conference final again? I mean, we'll see. But it is interesting. Will they address that goalie position, or are they confident in their guys? Are they confident in Campbell, even though obviously he flamed out in the playoffs last year, but he was an all-star for a reason. So it'll be interesting to see if his rate of play, is sustainable. We saw Vegas all over Nashville, 5-1 here. And in this one, Phil Kessel, Tony, with his 10th. Not much of a scorer generally, right?
I would say not in the latter part of his career, no.
So he had his 10th in the first 3 goals by the Knights in the first period. Carrier had his 13th, and Amadio had his 8th. And then in the first for Nashville, Duchenne his 15th, but that was the only scoring for Nashville the whole way, as Chandler Stevenson added his 12th for Vegas in the second, and Pietrangelo had his 6th, an empty netter right before the horn in the third period. So that's how you get to 5-1. Now, do you look at Vegas? I mean, the record is still strong at 30-18. Are they a team that you feel like to have a chance in these upcoming playoffs need to make some type of move? I mean, we saw them really go through a tough stretch here in the first half.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like the tough stretch was, honestly, I'm really not 100% sure why or like what really that was about. But they got some great talent. Chandler Stevenson is a guy. He's a great setter who can really move the puck really well. He's got 34 assists on the season. Obviously, about Jack Eichel kind of having,
ho-hum.
Yeah. I think they definitely expected him to kind of burst out on the scene a little bit more. 15 goals, 19 assists. It's only 34 points in the 39 regular season games that he's played so far. I understand he was still out for a little bit. But still, I would expect if they do make the playoffs, you're going to see Jack Eichel really step up.
Mm-hmm.
And they are going to make the playoffs, I think. And I think having him, around is going to be huge, dude. So yeah, I think looking at their team, I don't really think they're really in need to make like a crazy move. I mean, Braden McNabb is a pretty solid defender. So is Alex Pietrangelo. Zach Whitecloud has been pretty solid too. He's a young dude for them. And they got a great goaltender in Thompson. So, I mean, I think they have everything they really need to make a solid, postseason appearance. But I think they just need the guys that they already have to step up, like specifically Jack Eichel.
Yeah. Yeah. Only 15 goals this year, 40 games. You'd expect a little more production out of Jack Eichel here. And I would expect him to have a strong second half. We'll see. Your eyes, the West. Is it the Wild West this year, Tony? Wide open still or no?
In terms of like who can win it? Who's a clear winner of the West?
Not even a clear winner, but who has a chance in your eyes? I mean, do you feel like almost 6 teams might have a chance conceivably?
I mean, you're thinking about it. Obviously Edmonton, who made the Western Conference Finals, like they really could, especially if they do end up pursuing a goaltender, especially with Colorado, not really playing like they did last year. And you think about, Edmonton, Dallas too is going to make a splash for sure. Winnipeg's going to be hard to knock out. You got Vegas. Dare I say, LA could be a little dangerous too. I really do think it's going to be a total toss-up. And then at that point, Calgary's kind of been on a little bit of a hot streak right now. Minnesota has been really pesky all season too. So, hey man, you're looking at those, those top 8 teams. Colorado's actually at 8 right now. They're tied in a 3-way tie with Minnesota and Calgary for 58 points. That's going to be a dogfight in and of itself. So if I had to pick one team though, I guess give me Winnipeg.
Interesting.
Give me the Jets, dude.
All right. Fair enough.
Why? What do you think?
I'm torn between the Avalanche and Edmonton, but I almost want to say Edmonton, because you're telling me, they'll win with McDavid, he'll stay. So let's see it, Tony.
Did I say they would win with McDavid?
Well, you said that's why the Rangers aren't going to get him because they'll eventually win.
Well, I'm sure they probably will.
I know you didn't say it was this year. I understand that, but I guess it's a part of it too. He's having a ridiculous year. He is. Easily hit 60 goals, right? He's already got over 40.
I think he's going to be a career Oiler, though. He loves it there, dude. What are you going to do?
But I don't know. You never know.
No, you
contract dispute with Draisaitl or, Kane blows up the locker room. You never know what could happen.
Wow, you're loving the drama, dude.
I mean, there was a
Kane
little
pulled up
drama
the
there.
locker
There was a
room.
little drama there last year.
Yeah, last
with
year.
the reporter,
the
fired
Oh,
coach.
dude.
So you never know what'll happen, but I think it'll be quite fascinating, Tony, to watch.
Fascinating.
Down the stretch and the next couple of seasons, all of that. We did see the Anaheim Ducks finally win another game here, 3-2 over the Chicago Blackhawks. To your surprise, Tony.
Yeah.
And Frank Vetrano, the former New York Ranger, with the game winner in overtime. So a third overtime game yesterday, his 12th of the year, lifting the Ducks here. They also had goals by Menga and Leeson, while the Blackhawks had goals from Jones and Dickinson. And I just find it so interesting. And I understand people think different environment, different results, but you look at the numbers of Patrick Kane specifically, and there's a lot of talk, would the Rangers trade a draft pick and Kako for him? And it just, I don't understand, especially with giving up significant value from the Jack in the Box.
Nice, dude.
That, teams are going to want to give up young talent for Kane. I mean, how could he have really good hockey ahead? I just don't see it, Tony.
I mean, it's gonna be really tough, honestly. I mean, I don't know, dude. I mean, he's 33, like maybe 34 years old now, and he's been in the league forever. But I think he's had some decent production in terms of assists. But I mean, look at what the teams around him. I mean, besides, they have Max Domi. Obviously, about Taves. I don't know. I just think if you put him, on a team like the Rangers, I mean, he's going to certainly have an uptick in production. And, watching him skate, it doesn't look like he has tired legs. It's not like he's losing edges or anything. It's not like he's, I don't know, dude. He still has some dangles, too. I mean, I think there's still life in him yet. I just really do think he's bogged down from being in Chicago. I mean, forever, dude. I mean,
would you be tight, though, if we gave up Kako for
him? Just Kako?
In a second-round draft pick. That was something I saw on Twitter this morning.
A little bit.
Interesting.
And he's going to be a free agent, so.
Yeah. I'm against it. I'm against it. I think, if he was performing at a high level and he's an advanced age, that's fine. But when you're not, I think you're just playing with fire at that point. But speaking of, we mentioned the Rangers back in action tonight, Tony.
Let's go, baby.
The Canucks. So a game where, after Shesterkin sitting out last game, you'd expect him to be back between the pipes. And it's a game where you would expect to handily defeat your opponent. It's one of only 2 games tonight. This one, this one only on ESPN Power Play with the national game 8:30 Stars and Wild on TNT.
Great night of hockey, dude. 2 games back to back. Let's go.
One at the Rangers are at 8, Wild at 8:30. First of all, though, I always thought like Easter home games, especially an East Coast team. I mean, aren't most of them at 7? Is it just because it's a standalone? It's at 8?
Yeah, I think so.
Canucks
is
too.
Is it Hockey Night in America? Is that what it is? Because normally they do Wednesdays Hockey Night in America, and it's just like
it doesn't say that on the ESPN scoreboard.
Well, ESPN sucks, dude. I don't know. Maybe because it's just the 2 games here, and TNT's got a nice primetime 8:30 game, and I don't know why it would be so late. Like, why? Why?
What are you waiting for?
Honestly, dude, like 7:30. Let's go puck drop.
So you think about this game.
I do.
It's a long week, with 4 games. You were taken to the brink against the Flames. You did win that one. You obviously feel like there's no excuse not to win this one. But I mean, is there any particular strategy that you see other than, just kind of really coming out aggressive, build the lead and kind of coast and not really, absolve too much energy, knowing that you're playing on Friday and Saturday, against the Kraken and the Hurricanes? I mean, two good teams here. Or do you just feel like it's a 1 game at a time approach, Tony? You're going balls to the walls, and Gallant wants to eat kneecaps like he's Dan Campbell.
Yeah, dude. I honestly, I really would not have the mentality of, we got like a heavy schedule coming up this weekend. Let's take it easy here tonight. The Canucks, although they're a team that's under 500, you're going to kind of have to, keep, Quinn Hughes at bay, Elias Peterson for certain. You're gonna have to try and limit his opportunities in the game. I mean, Vancouver, much like any other team, has goal scorers. We know JT Miller, I feel like he's historically done well against the Rangers when he's played them with Vancouver. So, I mean, I still think, you have some work cut out for you ahead of time tonight. So certainly, dude, it's balls to the wall here. It's, gas is on the right. Let's come out here. Let's play our best hockey possible for 60 minutes. And let's go home with the dub, dude. I wouldn't really want to have that mentality of, oh, take it easy.
Now, is there a particular, fashion and kind of, result you want to see in this one as far as how they get to a win? Or is it like just get the win and let's think about Friday?
Well, certainly. I mean, I would like tonight, that being said, with what I said in terms of Vancouver's goal scoring capabilities, I would like to still decisively beat them. It should be like a 5-2 victory here. If maybe Shesterkin pitches a shutout, we win like maybe 4-0, just like the Islanders did last night. Like I mentioned, you want to stay out of the penalty box here. Hughes has 40 assists this season. Half of them have come off of power plays. So they have a solid power play unit. They have good chemistry, Vancouver, on the power play. So do your best to stay out of the box. I understand penalties happen. Let's give them like I don't know, 1 of 2, honestly, on the PK. You can imagine
Subban.
PK Subban, yeah. You would imagine that they may get one past you on the power play, but if not, you get a nice penalty kill in there. And then you just like 5-on-5 should be dominant. I want to see physicality. I want to see Jacob Trooper still throwing some hits. I think this is a good time to kind of test yourself defensively, just because of Carolina coming up. I mean, they have a hard defense. They're going to play physical. So let's. I would tell some of the players, the younger players, let's get physical. Let's get mean tonight. I want to see. Well, I want to see like 35 team hits, dude. A lot of hits. A lot of puck possession too. Really hammer the Canucks, man.
5-2, you said?
I'll say 5-2.
Yeah.
Let's go 5-2.
And before we get to my selection on the other game, also, update here, 32-26 me. So a couple days left, Tony.
Really,
so you gotta give it your all. See what happens. You never know. Crazier things have happened.
32-26, you say?
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
But I was gonna say, we know Vancouver gave up Horvath. Elias Peterson, having a great season. We saw him, participate in All-Star Weekend. Only 24 years old. Any thought, if it was up to you, in moving him and really, getting some assets here moving forward, or do you see him more as a building block at 24?
Sorry, who?
Elias Peterson. 59 points this year.
Yeah, I know.
Goals.
And I think that's definitely his best season so far. I know he's young.
2017 fifth overall pick.
Yeah, by the Canucks.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't know. I think Peterson is the one player you got to kind of keep and build around, dude.
Yeah, because you just traded one in Horvath.
Yeah.
You hope that pick you got from the Islanders will result in something.
Oh, yeah.
But obviously we'll have to see about that. And as I mentioned, the other game between the Stars and the Wild, and I know I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but we've been talking about where the Stars find themselves in the Western Conference standings, and I've talked about them being fraudulent. And I know Robertson's had a great year, 33 goals, 34 assists. But I just think the Wilds, Kaprizov, I just think they're a tough matchup for them. So I think they're going to find a way to win this. I'm going to say 3-2 in overtime.
Wow.
Kaprizov with the game winner, his 1 of 2 goals on the night. In the Wild get off to a good start here in the second half of their season. But nevertheless, Tony, should be a great slate of hockey for only having 2 games. We'll have a bigger slate tomorrow. Some good matchups tomorrow. Just looking ahead already. Bo Horvath against his old team, Canucks Islanders. We got Avalanche and Lightning as well. So obviously that should be a good matchup. Rematch of the finals last year. Sharks Panthers,
like that.
You could see that being good.
Yeah.
The Kraken Devils,
That's
that's a matchup of 2 teams. I guess Golden Knights Wild to an extent.
Flames Red Wings, all the games, Brian.
Decent though.
No, honestly, yeah,
Decent
great slate
matchup.
tomorrow, dude. Great slate.
And one thing I guess I was going to ask you too before we switch gears here are in your eyes the Kraken, strong first half, 29-16, faltered at times. How do you see them moving forward? Do you think they make any moves? Do you think they're a serious contender? I mean, what are your thoughts there?
Honestly, maybe they'll be in the market too for a goaltender. Because I know, let me see, Martin Jones can't be having a great year, and they have Grubauer, I think, too. Let me just no, not the Kraken. Let's see, dude. Yeah, Jones. 23, 8-3, great record, 3 shutouts. Obviously, but a lot of that is a testament to Seattle's offensive production.
Same percentage under 9.
Same percentage is
under 9.
A tick under 9. Goals against on average is good, 2.86. That's pretty solid, but Grubauer doesn't really do them any favors, and their third guy, Decord, they only gave, I think, maybe a couple start, or it looks like 1 start, 1 win he got, but he gave it 4 goals in the game. I don't know, dude. I mean, maybe they can, if they want to hang around. I mean, they're gonna make the playoffs, but I mean, if Martin Jones maybe hopefully has a career year in the playoffs. I mean, he's an old dude. He's probably 34. It's 33 years old. Hasn't had any phenomenal seasons, I guess, as of recently. I mean, look at him when he was with San Jose. I mean, the past 3 years, 1 year with Philly too. The past 1, 2, 3, 4 years, he only had 1 year where his save percentage was 900, and it was exactly 900. Anything else was below that. His goals against average, it seems like he keeps kind of low-ish. Last year was almost 3.5, 3 before that, 3 on the nose, and then before that was kind of, I guess, the better part of his career. I don't know, man. I mean, he's obviously, I suppose he's, he's a veteran. I mean, he's seasoned, obviously. He was with LA early in his career, when they were making cup runs. San Jose he was with when they were in the cup as well, and they lost to Pittsburgh. You got to appreciate that. I mean, you go to the playoffs, the guy knows how to feel, knows what to think in the playoffs, everything like that. So I don't know. Maybe in the market, but other than that, I mean, they've been a really solid team. And Jordan Eberle, another guy who's probably 33 years old, having somewhat of a resurgent year. He's been killing it in terms of, I think he has probably 30-something assists or something. And Burakovsky's been really good. McCann as well for them. I mean, all around great team. What are they? Third in the West?
I think
second,
so.
Third.
I think third. Yeah, behind Dallas.
Or maybe they're fourth behind LA. Maybe.
And
Winnipeg.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they could hang with the rest of the West right now, dude, for sure.
It's been flipped upside down, Tony. That's for sure.
So crazy.
Nice comment here from Michael. It says, love it. You guys get me even pumped for hockey, which is interesting.
Let's go, Michael.
That's what it's all about.
Oh yeah, love getting people pumped.
I think eventually we'll get him to be strictly a Rangers fan. It's come on. Brodeur era, that was 20 years ago almost at this point?
I don't think he's ever going to change.
No, I know, because we thought we had him. Remember, he was saying the thing about how he's going to dig in his closet if he doesn't find the jersey.
Yeah, but now the Devils are good.
So just want to let it go. No, we get it. We get it. We're not people that
No, you should be a Devils fan. Just Brian.
Anyway, Tony. Anyway. Let's go now to the world of the National Football League.
6 for 101, 2 touchdowns. Uh-oh. To Evans! Touchdown, Tampa Bay!
How about that throw?
Sam Darnold blasted! Oh my goodness, did he take a hit? In trouble, what? Brings him down. Lost one for Odell Beckham Jr. Got it down! Touchdown!
And it's kind of interesting too, being Super Bowl week, most of the news coming out this week has been around teams that aren't in the Super Bowl. And I think a part of that is just the teams for the most part being fully healthy. So there's not much to report on that front, but a couple interesting things. And the first one, and I wish Michael was here for this discussion because I feel like it would just be interesting to see what he had to say. But yesterday on the Pat McAfee show, Aaron Rodgers said he's about to go into a 4-day dark chamber where he has nothing other, and it's just complete darkness. And there's a slot where someone drops off food, and other than that, it's just himself, his thoughts. complete darkness. So like I don't know, a darkness retreat is what they're calling it. And I guess it was something that was in the works for a while, and he's had, friends that have, successfully done this. But here we go again, something a little quirky.
Oh boy, Brian.
With Aaron Rodgers. And I mean, I don't know, Tony. I mean, nobody knows what's really going inside this guy's head. What did he say?
He said, isolation room, I can easily do it.
We know someone who can't easily do it, and you're looking right at him. But I don't know. I think this is a dramatics thing, and who knows if he's actually going to follow through, do the full 4 days. But I don't know. He loves the spotlight. I think he doesn't want to go out the way that the second half of his career is going. He wants another title. So I just have a tough time believing, Tony, that he's all done, that he's going to make that decision. I think he's saying that's what the decision is about, but I think it's more about what team he's going to play for. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's no way he's going to retire. I think it really is about what team he's going to play. And it seems like he's using the dark room. I mean, he was saying how he's known people he's known people to do it, and they come out with some like profound realization type of deal. So I don't know if he's expecting to come out of the dark room and be like, I know what team I want, sort of deal.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, he may already know where he wants to go, and he's just kind of playing it out, sort of deal. But I still think I stand by what I said yesterday. I think at the end of the day, Rodgers does want to win another Super Bowl, and I think that he knows. I mean, his best shot to win it, I think, is in New York with the Jets,
which is crazy. If you just think about that bite, Tony. Just think about you saying that someone's best shot to win a title with the Jets, who haven't won since 1969. But
wow, dude, great
we
year.
do feel like they're up and coming. And Michael even says he will be seeing himself holding a Jets Super Bowl, and he will come. I mean, they were talking about that. I think it was on Carton and Roberts yesterday. But I mean, you already kind of alluded to this, but that being said, Tony, I mean, you think this whole thing and this process with the darkness tunnel, or isolation room, whatever you want to call it. I mean, is it pretty ridiculous that we're even having this discussion?
I think a little bit. I mean, hey man, I mean, I know people who do the I forget what they're called, whatever those chambers are where you float in the water and you don't have any sense and it takes away all your senses.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I forget what it's called, but it's awesome. I mean, obviously it's, has benefits, just like I'm sure, isolating yourself in the dark has benefits. But I mean, I do think it is a little like him kind of the theatrics.
Diva.
Yeah, I think he already knows, dude, because there's no way that come on.
I mean, why does it have to be 4 days? Why can't it be 1 day? I mean, 4 days? How do you not go cuckoo?
I mean, yeah. I mean, why don't you do 3? Why don't you call it a week at that point then?
Call it a month.
Call it a month. Let's do it a month.
So training camp. But he's always making everyone wait on him.
Deprivation tank, Michael.
Deprivation tank is what it's called. So that'll be an interesting, situation to monitor. We know he's, the top of the list of the free agent quarterbacks. Speaking of another one, Derek Carr was given permission, granted permission to talk with the Saints about, I guess, what would be a restructured contract with a trade. So that's an interesting one. The Saints running it back with Dennis Allen. I'd imagine Pete Carmichael would stay on board. I'd imagine that Jameis Winston, maybe showing the door after kind of losing his job due to injury to Andy Dalton last year. We know Alvin Kamara is still there. Michael Thomas hasn't played in 4 years, a full season. But obviously, they've been pretty strong offensively, and it would seem to represent, a clear upgrade over Andy Dalton, like I said, who took the majority of the snaps last year. What are your thoughts about Carr going to New Orleans, Tony, possibly?
I mean, listen, I think Carr can be a successful quarterback, probably in New Orleans too. I mean, again, you think about it, the weapons he has around him, but of course,
Olave is good too.
I don't know, dude. Part of me is just he had some weapons around him in Las Vegas as well.
The best receiver in the league. And Adams, and he went 6-11.
I mean, I don't know, dude. Who is really big? Again, you're kind of gave Carr a lot of benefit of the doubt with, the unfortunate injuries he's had, the front office, the coaching issues with the Raiders and everything like that. You're getting a lot of outside noise. So I mean, I'm a little doubtful because maybe it is him. I mean, who knows? Maybe all those things that were kind of outside of him is kind of affecting his career now for the whole, which is kind of unfortunate because you saw some glimpse of greatness with him. But I don't know, dude. I mean, I don't know. I think it can kind of go either way. I mean, I think he's going to do better than what he did with the Raiders, I would imagine, just because of the change of scenery, the change of culture. But again, I mean, I feel like the Saints, it's another fan base that they're going to be, having Carr on a really short leash, and they're impatient and they're looking to be successful again. Like another team that had so much success with Drew Brees and Peyton, and now they just kind of have these lull years here. So it's like, dude, I don't know. I feel a couple of mistakes by Carr, and the fans are going to write him off, and he's going to feel pressure, and he's going to crumble.
Yeah. And it's a shame, as Indigo says, the 3 days of darkness. So I guess she prefers 3 over 4. I don't know. But Tony, I do feel like if Sean Payton was still there, I would love it. I think he would really be able to revitalize his career. But Dennis Allen, I just don't understand why they're running it back with him. I really don't. And I think Gail Benson technically is still the owner there, but she's like 90. I remember her commenting on Sean Payton, and she just seemed like she was kind of joking around. She's like, "Oh, I don't know where he is." Before he retired last year. I think we were talking about that. So who knows what the direction is of that team? They have made some good draft picks, so it'll be interesting to see, can they turn it around in a division, Tony, that you would expect to be weak, with the Brady retirement, with the uncertain future of the Bucks. And then with the talent levels of the other teams, of Atlanta, of Carolina, so it seems like it's wide open. So maybe this is a good opportunity for Derek Carr to play some playoff games for the second time in his career. So we'll have to monitor that. 49ers hiring Steve Wilkes as the defensive coordinator, so he steps in for DeMeco Ryans. And he was a candidate, obviously, for the full-time gig in Carolina before that was ultimately given to Frank Reich. Did a great job, as the interim coach last year for Carolina. So I think this is a good hire, strong organization, a well-liked guy, as he looks to continue to get one more crack at a head coaching position, after that 1 year in Arizona, that unfortunately did not go his way due to the struggles of Josh Rosen. So that's kind of interesting, but, really, other than that in the NFL, there hasn't been, too much chatter or interesting storylines, on Radio Row and just everything going on in, Arizona. I think more just people giving, their predictions of what they see, for the game. And, a lot of talk too about the Kelsey brothers, being the first brothers to play against each other, in the Super Bowl. So situation to monitor for sure. But I'm excited for the game. Like we've talked about the last couple of days, I think it will be one of the better in recent memory. And do you feel, I know I kind of already asked you this when we had the bye week last week, but do you think due to the buildup that this bye week is actually a good thing, or you still are not a fan? You feel like you've been waiting forever for this game?
I mean, I don't know, dude. I mean, I feel like kind of what you were saying. I mean, at this point, like, what are you really talking about? The storylines have been talked about. Yeah, you can talk about predictions or whatever, but I think the bye week is useless. It's useless. Stupid.
It's just to put on events and make more money, which
dude,
the NFL doesn't seem to struggle with too much.
Oh no, dude.
But
of course not.
Once this game is played, I think it'll be tough in terms of the long layoff without football. I know NHL, and then once we get baseball regular season, that'll really be the start of it, and we're gonna be all set there day in, day out. The grind, Tony, the grind of 162.
Oh boy,
I see the look in your eye. You're more than ready for some Mets baseball, and I'm ready for Yankee baseball.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we had an old episode of Sportsport playing the other day, and We saw some Mets highlights. It's just like, wow.
It was bringing you back.
Yeah, it was. It was nice, dude. It was really nice.
But it's funny. We say this, all smiles, all is good, and the first 3-4 game losing streak for either one of us, and it gets dark pretty quickly, Tony. I mean, that's just the nature of the game.
I don't think the Mets are going to be losing more than 3 games at a time, honestly.
Oh, okay. Last year, like when you said, tough times were not on the horizon.
Right.
No, remember you didn't like my thought process of getting the bad stretch out of the way. You were against that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they really, yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. I know we're not talking baseball, but I just have to ask you one question here. Just off the top of the dome, biggest key to success this season is
For the Mets,
first thing that comes to mind.
staying healthy.
So, and you're confident though in the offense that the horses are there. It's all about health and production.
Yeah.
You don't think that any additions are needed, or if they are, we'll have to wait till deadline time?
I mean, right now, if Beatty and Alvarez are working out, yeah. If Marte has a year in which he did last season, yeah. If McNeil does, yeah. If Alonso and Lindor like each have seasons that are equal to last year's, yeah, dude, we'll be fine as long as we stay healthy. I want to see Verlander and Scherzer pitching all the time. I want to see Marte out there staying healthy. I mean, dude, we won over 100 games last season.
Yeah.
That's a great season.
I honestly think, and it's just like with the Yankees, I think the young guys are very important, but specifically for the Mets, Alvarez. I mean, if he's a 30 to 35 home run hitter who can hit above 250, and offers something at the catcher position, splitting time with Omar Narvaez, I think they could be pretty good.
Yeah.
But the only other thing I wanted to mention here, tomorrow begins, and I mentioned this earlier in the week, the Waste Management Phoenix Open from Scottsdale, Arizona. So like I've said, one of my favorite non-major tournaments, of the PGA season, and it's for a variety of things. Obviously being there is a big part of it, having played the course, but also just the passion that you see on the fans. I mean, it's sold out every day. The crowd gets a little rowdy, and even they made an adjustment this year, Tony, where there's no cans being sold because they were throwing them on the course for hole-in-ones on 16. We know the stadium atmosphere there with that par 3. So I guess the cups will be on the course this time.
Well, that's fine. Yeah.
I hope we get some hole-in-ones as well.
Prefer cups over cans anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. You don't want that aluminum taste lingering, Tony, in your mouth.
Never.
But that being said, I mean, this is a star-studded event, due to the elevation status.
John Rahm?
New for this year, John Rahm in. I mean, really, there's no one unless they're injured that isn't in this tournament. And I had the list here, and of course, whenever you want something, and it's right there for some reason, it just kind of
it's not there, dude.
Kind of seems to slip away, but we are able to pull it up. If you could just stay with me here, we'll have it momentarily. So just to give you an idea, like I said, the usual suspects, but we got Rory, Rahm, Morikawa, Schauffele, Scheffler, Cantlay, Homa, Finau, Im, Matsuyama, JT, Tom Kim, Billy Horschel, Sahith Theegala, Matt Fitzpatrick. So kind of the who's who on the PGA Tour, as well as, former major champions Jordan Spieth, Jason Day, as well as up-and-coming golfers Victor Hovland and Cameron Young. So many different ways to go here, and we've seen, stars win this event recently. You think back to last year, Scotty Scheffler taking home first place here, and obviously he was, he had one of the best seasons on tour. I want to say it was 5 wins last year. So that was part of his big season last year. We saw Brooks Koepka win this event. I think it was the year prior. So the fields change every year. So yeah, it was Koepka in 21, Webb Simpson in 20, Ricky Fowler in 2019, Gary Woodland in 2018, and then actually back-to-back championships for Hideki Matsuyama in 16 and 17. So all guys we're familiar with, a lot of major champions involved here. So you would expect it would be, one of the big names, and playing the course myself and watching the tournament on TV a bunch of times. I mean, it's an event, and you look at historically, I mean, since 2016, I mean, the lowest score to win is -14. So it's not a course that the golfers struggle with. I think the trickiest part, honestly, is the greens. I mean, they're so fast. I know these guys are used to that on the PGA Tour, but I remember the first hole I played there, and it was like, just putted the ball normally, nothing crazy, right off the green. And normal putt. And I was like, are you serious?
Oh,
So you got that. You have water in play. So accuracy at times, comes into play, but a lot of wide open fairway. 16, you want to be accurate there on the stadium hole. So a lot of factors to consider, but I guess like any golf tournament and any bigger golf tournament, you want a well-rounded player who excels in multiple areas. So that's kind of, you would think would give you your best shot here. I'm kind of curious though, who you're thinking. I'm almost thinking, and I could be completely off here, but you're trying to mix it up with your selection. I know these are tough, but then again, it's either a mix up or it's a boilerplate. It's one or the other, nothing in between. And but you say first. I'll tell you what I was thinking after.
Justin Thomas.
Okay, so that's kind of a mix up. I don't know if you've ever actually picked him before.
Never have.
So I was thinking either a mix up, like a Justin Thomas or a Max Homa, somebody like that you haven't really picked. Or I was gonna say you're gonna just go Rahm again.
Yeah, I didn't really want to do you.
It felt too boilerplate.
Yeah.
So we'll put you in there for Justin Thomas, who
I
think was up near the top of the leaderboard, whether it was last year or the previous year.
I think it was top 8, maybe.
Yeah, I believe so. Let's see. Does it show it on here? Okay, so I think it was in 2021 when Koepka won. He was up there. But that being said, I mean, it's so hard for me to decipher here. And like we're saying with Rahm, it does seem too easy. It seems like someone, someone else has to win. So I'm gonna say Rory.
Nice.
Let's go with Mr. McIlroy.
Love it, dude.
Obviously a great year last year, and finally looking to return to the winner's circle in the major championships, but winning these minors, that'll be a good stepping stone. So I'm excited to watch this one. And it's just so cool how it coincides with the Super Bowl, which coincidentally enough is in the Arizona area. So it really is, a lot going on there. And just kind of to wrap up, and I kind of just mentioned this, with McIlroy, Tony, and I know I've asked you this a bunch, since we started talking golf, but is this the year? I mean, we saw him so close. We saw it. I mean, pretty much any other situation, the way he played in the 4th round there at St. Andrews, he would have won that tournament if it wasn't for the outstanding play of Cam Smith. And then other tournaments, he struggled, but that one was a very strong performance. We saw him win the Tour Championship. But I mean, it's been a very long going on 9 years without a major after he was dominating the golf world. Is this finally the year, if you had to say?
I mean, I would like to say, yeah, you think you go, 9 years, but I don't know, dude. I think part of me says no.
Wow.
It's going to go for the tenor.
Wow.
Whatever happened to Cam Smith, by the way? I never even heard.
Live.
Oh, he went to Live. That's right,
but
dude.
He will be playing in the majors, and it'll be interesting to see if they can work something out with those world golf ranking points.
CW.
Otherwise, if you don't win the tournaments with the like the Asian Tour events or these majors, you're really not getting much world golf ranking points.
Wow,
and then
dude.
You're gonna have trouble qualifying once your past champion status expires. So very tricky situation as far as that's concerned. But it's like, I guess the only good thing is for these majors, because of the divide with Live, these majors are the only time that all of the big players get to play together. Do you think that somewhat makes it more exciting, or is it still disappointing? Because you have other events like this, like the Players Championship, where you want those guys, but they're not there.
I mean, yeah, no, I don't like it. I don't think it does make it more exciting, especially now. Like, look at, Cam Smith comes in one of these majors. I haven't seen him play at all. I don't really know much,
right,
what he's looked like, stuff like that.
He's playing 3-round tournaments.
Yeah, dude. I mean, and for someone like Cam Smith, who made a tremendous splash and then just like in the PGA and then just left to Live Tour, I mean, it's kind of a shame. I definitely wanted to see him more on PGA events. And like I said, now like there's less juice, there's less buzz around him because he's on Live Tour. Okay.
Yeah. It is stupid how, and then the PGA did offer money. So with these elevated events, the purses are higher. So, maybe we could say part of it falls on the PGA Tour for not acting sooner because this money was clearly there. If they're able to add it to the pot. So I think they were kind of holding back in that respect. But I think it comes down to communication. I think a compromise could have been made where we didn't have to be where we are. And maybe there's some type of compromise in the future. I just don't see why there's any reason when there's weeks and days where PGA is going on, LIV's going on, but they're not coinciding together, why the guys can't play both. I don't understand that. And I think, the PGA has had a monopoly for a while, so they don't want to give that up.
So they're tight.
But do you think we're still years away from a resolution
with LIV?
Yeah, just with being able to play events and being able to play PGA Tour events, or do you think that's a line in the sand that will never be crossed?
Oh wow. I think someone's gonna budge eventually. I think it'll definitely take years.
The shark has to be removed from his position, though.
Yeah, but it seems like, dude. I mean, LIV Tour getting a TV deal is pretty huge, dude. I was someone who was like, oh, give them 2 years, probably lose their money.
I mean, they've lost a lot of it already.
Now they're going to get
those private
jets.
But
now they're probably going to pull in some advertising money and stuff like that.
No money directly from the CW. It's all split advertising revenue.
Oh.
And this is on the heels of, the reports they were thinking about paying for airtime on Fox Sports 1 before this deal ultimately came together. So can't be too strong there. I
wouldn't give them a long time then.
And I just think the whole thing is they need interest in the events, not interest of who's leaving the PGA to come to LIV. And I think that's a problem. You're making this, you have a collection of players, but if nobody cares about the results, I mean, how are you going to generate revenue?
Nobody cares.
So it'll be interesting to see if we ever get to that point, But
yeah,
I have a hard time thinking.
I think so too.
Who
knows? Well, maybe we'll be wearing LIV Tour t-shirts one day.
You never know, Tony. You never ever know. But that being said, anything else on the horizon?
For today, no, not really, dude. Just you and I, man.
Yeah.
Sports board.
And obviously we'll be back at it tomorrow.
Big day tomorrow, dude.
Really appreciate everybody tuning in once again and continuing to comment, like, and subscribe, checking out the archives on the YouTube page. Tony, Michael, Renee in costume, the merch at downtimetv.com. We want everybody to enjoy their day. Let's go Rangers. And we will see you mañana.
Hey guys, Tony here from Downtime TV checking in. I want to thank all our fans out there who's been liking, subscribing, sharing our content. You guys are the best. You guys are our bloodline. You make us love what we do.